No, it's one of those French ones. Gardens. And you buy and it's like a
Good afternoon everybody, welcome aboard. My name's Tom, I'm your tour guide for this tour. We've got Sheena from the Formula One team behind the wheel. And we're entering the gardens via Camellia Walk, where you'll see the ubiquitous camellias on the left hand side. You also see a very large statue on the right hand side. It's one of our Henry Moores. We have a wonderful exhibition on here called Monumental Nature. It runs for about a year. And it's got around 30 of his largest works in the gardens. As I say, it's the biggest exhibition of his works worldwide. And about another 95 smaller works and preparatory works in the Shirley Sherwood Gallery, which you could access from stock number 2. Up there on the right hand side, that's one of our Grade 2 listed follies. That's the Temple of Bologna, built in 1762 by Sir William Chambers. You're going to hear a lot about him on this tour. He's an architect, royal architect, did a lot of work here. And you'll see some of your best stuff a bit later on. Bologna was a Roman goddess of war, compatriot of Mars, the Roman god of war, and that temple was built to commemorate the end of the 7-Year War, the first of a global conflict between the European superpowers of the day. It's Achemenias on the left-hand side, no blooms. They're a very, very early flowering shrub. Here it's the first couple of weeks in February. They are amazing when they come out, but you've got the glossy leaves for by now. You're probably more familiar with their sister plant, the Camellia sinensis. That's the humble tea plant. You may have had a few tips of its leaves in your cuppa this morning. Put the gardens in a historical context. The first formal garden was laid down here in 1759 by the Dowager Princess of Wales Augusta. She was mother of King George III. She lived in Kew, she owned Kew. Very different place then. Very much a flat floodplain, used for grazing animals, farm animals, and the King's own animals that lived on the farm here. Pretty featureless until the Dowager Princess of Wales decided to have a physic garden laid out. Now that's a garden that consists of medicinal plants, very popular back in the day. She put aside 9 acres and had a formal physic garden laid out. So that was the first garden here at Kew in 1759. She also put down some exotic plants that have been brought back from various countries, and also the first small forest she laid down here, the first arboretum. And of those trees, 5 are still left. They're called the Old Lions. And I'm going to show you a really lovely example of those towards the end of this tour. Date forward to 1772. She died, leaving her estate and her gardens to her son, King George III. 2 years earlier, his grandfather had died, King George II. And they left in the Richmond estate, which is adjacent to this one. It was separated by a road. I'll show you that road a bit later on. And King George III decided to close the road. He had to get an Act of Parliament passed to do that. It was a public right of way. And there was 2 huge walls each side of the gardens. They had those knocked down, shut the road and put the 2 gardens together. That formed the 326 acres we have here today at Kew, the largest and most biodiverse botanical gardens in the world. And that's why it's called Kew Gardens and not Kew Garden, because it's an amalgamation of the 2. More about that later, what he did and how he progressed the gardens to get them where they are today. But first I want to tell you about this wonderful piece of architecture that's in front of us now. This is the Tempera House, built by Sir Decimus Burton over a 30-year period, 1860 to 1896 it was. He died before it was completed, unfortunately. This is the largest existing Victorian glass house in the world, and it's wonderful, isn't it? If you haven't seen it before, now's your chance to visit and go in. There's 10,000 plants inside, 1,500 different species, all from the temperate regions of the world. That means where there aren't the excesses of heat or cold. This is how your ticket works. Your ticket lasts all day, so you can get out here. This is stop number 2 and go and visit the Temperate House and get back on the next train. There's a train every half an hour. This is a great stop because not only is it for the Temperate House, we have our 2 art galleries here. The Shirley Shorer Gallery of Botanical Art, which holds those Henry Moores I told you about, and some wonderful botanical paintings. And the ever fabulous Marianne North Gallery, and that has got a wow factor. 843 paintings from this fantastic Victorian painter. All available to see as part of your ticket. Over there on the left hand side. So we're going to pull up here. This is stop number 2. You've got the Temperate House, you've got our 2 art galleries, and you also have the Pavilion Bar and Grill over there on the right if you want to eat or drink. Food's cooked on a grill, and the sides and salads come from our own kitchen garden, run by our own gardener. So you're not going to get anything fresher. Well, that's what the film is. Okay, nobody's going to get out. It's quite a nice day to stay on, actually. And the other way of doing it is you can stay on and work out when you get the next train where you want to get off. So this is a 4:30 train. And this is the 4 o'clock train. There's also a 4:30 train and a 5 o'clock train. And a 5:30 train. So you've got plenty of time if you want to use your ticket. Remember, it lasts all day long. There's a Pavilion Bar and Grill over there on the right hand side. It used to be a rather splendid Victorian tea house. The first one in the gardens opened in 1880, but only lasted till 1913 when it was burned to the ground by 2 ladies from the suffragette movement. They were seeking publicity for their votes for women campaign, so they decided to set fire to our tea rooms. That was in 1930. It was a case célèbre actually because the 2 ladies were arrested at Richmond Green. They were apprehended on Richmond Green by a suspicious constable who found petrol-soaked rags in their handbags, and they were arrested, prosecuted and sent to prison. And once they got into prison, they went on a hunger strike, and the authorities of the day were so concerned about social unrest that they died, they very quietly set them free. That's the story of the suffragettes and our tea rooms.
Yes.
Now you might notice we don't cut the grass much here. This is the procedure we've been following now. About 5 years ago, just as a forward, but we really depend on pollinators here. We have hundreds of thousands of plants here that need pollinating. Pollinators are the butterflies, bees, winged insects of all types, and birds that fly between the plants spreading the pollen. And we wanted a way of looking after our pollinators a bit better, so we ran a trial project for 2 years where we didn't cut, in the back section of the garden, we didn't cut the grass for a couple of years. And we monitored how many pollinators we were there. Don't ask me how we did it, our scientists did it. But they found that after a 2-year period, the amount of pollinators in that area had increased 3-fold. So now, we don't cut the grass, we cut paths through it. I think once a year they give it a real smash through, but otherwise they just let it grow, especially parts that have got lots of wild flowers. And it does have its real spin-off views, because in bluebell season, the back end of the garden are covered in bluebells, and it looks really attractive amongst the trees. So that's why we don't cut the Then coming up to Lion Gate. Lion Gate Lodge, guarding Lion Gate. It's the smallest gate in Kew. Goes on to Richmond. That house there, the old lodge, it's a beautiful lodge, you know, Gothic, Potteresque lodge. That was the home of our chief constable. We had one of the first police forces here in the UK in Kew in 1843. They were established. We've still got a police force now, but they're not called the constabulary anymore. And that's where the chief constable used to live, in that splendid house. We've still got a police force, it's a security force now, but we still have a chief constable, but he doesn't get to live in that lovely house anymore. I think he's got one bed flat in Balham or something. We're pulling up now, third stop, and here it is in front of us, the wonderful Great Pagoda. Grade 1 listed folly, built in 1761 by Sir William Chambers. He did the Temple of Bologna. 50 metres high, 10 stories, 8 dragons on each roof, 80 dragons in all, and it has 243 steps at the top, which King George III would climb regularly, a couple of times a week anyway. And view from the top, one way towards Buckingham House, as it was called then, and the other way towards Windsor Castle. You can still do that, you can still climb those 243 steps. Good luck with doing that today though. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Beautiful.
So William Chambers went to China twice to research his design for the Great Pagoda when they decided that's what it was. This is one of 16 buildings here that showcased all the different styles from around the world. So we had a notch, we had an Alhambra, we had lots of different stuff, but this is the only one that survived because all the others were made out of wood. So they didn't make it, but this one's still there. He went to China twice to review his designs, and this pagoda is based on the White Pagoda of Nanking, which has similar dimensions, but it's covered in white porcelain tiles. Supposed to look wonderful. Okay, now we're going to slow the truck down now so you can get a chance to take a photograph between this lovely weeping holly and this buggy here and the next little copse of woods. If you just shoot backwards, you'll get a great photograph without any trees in the way. You'll also get the added attraction of a Henry Moore. And if you wait, there's a smaller window of opportunity after this copse of trees, and we'll keep the train slow. If you shoot back here in this space, you'll get the same shot but without the Henry Moore. And it's a beautiful photograph because right now all the sun is glinting off the gold leaf on the dragons. So for £1 extra, driver Sheena will autograph your photographs. Okay, we're going to say farewell to China and hello to Japan now. It's coming up on the right hand side through the trees is our wonderful Japanese garden. It's an evocation of a 16th century Japanese tea garden, peace, harmony and calmness, representing the type of planting they have there. It's also a symbolic garden. It has a gravel garden ranked daily according to the phases of the moon, and that represents the rivers and seas of Japan. The big boulders represent the mountains of Japan, and the the sacred side is represented by the Koshimon, a huge wooden structure constructed out of sacred woods on the top. That's an entry for the Imperial Winged Messenger. It's a beautiful garden full of Japanese plants. It's a great place to sit and take a break, it really is. Now, this road that's going along, we're just going past now, the longest road in Kew. Holly Walk, it's got Europe's finest collection of mature hollies on it. That's the road that King George III closed down. So if you can imagine, that was much wider, big walls each side. Act upon and shut the road and put the two gardens together. That's where it all happened. It used to be called Love Lane, but I'm going to draw a discreet veil over the reasons for that nomenclature. So right now we're in what used to be the Richmond estate of King George II until Kew Gardens was formed. And you will notice a change here because we've entered into our arboretum now. This is that's just Latin for a place with trees. And this is where our major tree collection is rooted. Got 12,000 trees here, and we plant out in 40-acre plots. So look, we plant out in 40-acre plots. The plot we're in now is called the Pineatham, and it's our evergreen plot. So you're going to see lots of conifers, firs, pines, spruces, larch, and of course our glorious redwoods. And if you want to know what any tree is here in Kew, they all have a black badge on them. And that will tell you the name of the tree in scientific and common language terms, whereabouts and where it's from, and its catalogue number. All the trees here are monitored. It's a living laboratory for our scientists. All that. So right now we're heading down to Oak Grove. We are, but a bit later on. We're heading towards a redwood grove where our giant redwoods are rooted. Across on the left-hand side, you may see, I don't think so, the tree's still too bushy, is Queen Charlotte's cottage, which is a beautiful Tudoresque thatched cottage built by King George III as a wedding present for his wife, Queen Charlotte, the famous Queen Charlotte. He lived here in Kew Palace, which we're going down to in a moment or two, and they had 15 children, all brought up here at Kew, as was King George III and King George IV. And that's where they would go of a summer evening, to sit in their all-day cottage and have picnics, and look at the animals. King George III had his menagerie down there, including a herd of kangaroos. Okay, we're in Redwood Grove. Here's our biggest redwood on the right-hand side. That's a Californian coastal redwood at 48 metres high. And there's a lovely walk. You can walk around both sides of the road here, and you walk amongst the giants, our collection of coastal and giant redwoods. Not the same size or age as their cousins across the pond. These were only planted about 160 years ago, where some of the redwoods in California are between 2,500 and 3,000 years old. However, there are more redwoods in the UK than there are in the US. There's only 80,000 giant Californian redwoods in the US, lost a lot through logging, construction, development of all kinds. But in the UK, there's over 500,000. They became extremely popular in Victorian times, and all the estates would add them. A lovely duck pond there. So as I said, there's over 500,000 in the UK, mainly in England and Wales. And I was in my local park the other day in Boston Manor, and I found one in there, bigger than the ones we got here, so it must have been planted a long time ago. Now over the lip on the right hand side there is Kew Lake, a splendid lake, about 5 acres. It's got 4 islands on it, and that's where our major bird population live. It keeps their eggs and chicks safe from predators. We have 40 badger sets here at Kew, and many foxes. Herons too, and they'll all take chicks and eggs. And we're going to come up to stop number 4, where you can go and visit the lake and our nature reserve if you wish. So here's stop number 4. I'll need to go back to our history lesson to tell you about the nature reserve. Stop number 4. Stop number 4 for the nature reserve and Kew Lake, also Siam Vista and the Thames Walk. So there's the nature reserve above, in front of us and to our left, behind that 2-bar fence. This is a beautiful part of the garden, very beautiful. Going back to our history lesson, the gardens were passed down through the kings and queens. They got to Queen Victoria, and in 1840 she decided to give the garden to the British public, which she did. So coming for the first time. Apart from those 40 acres back over there, she kept those for royal use only, and that's because Queen Charlotte's cottage is in the middle of it. It's been to lots of memories. Her mother and father had their wedding breakfast and supper there, so lots of reasons for her to keep it to themselves. 3 years before she died, on her Diamond Jubilee of 1898, she gave the last 40 acres to us, but with a proviso: we must never ever do any work in there. It has to be left wild. And so we've stuck to that promise. If a tree dies there, it's left standing. It becomes a home for bats and owls and fungi. It's only got indigenous trees and plants in there. Nothing's come in, nothing's gone out for 250 years. Some splendid wildlife. It's a gloriously romantic mix of wetland, meadow and forest, leading right onto the Thames. And if you do go in, you can visit it, you can walk around it. We have laid a trail down there. You might see one of the 2 herds of deer that always live there. Okay, we come out to my favourite part of the gardens now.
Oh, okay.
And the River Thames on the left hand side. The tide's out at the moment, I think it still is. Yeah, I can't see any water. It's tidal here, between here and the lock at Teddington, so sometimes the water really does disappear. There's Sion Vista, beautiful vista, back to the end of the park. That's that fabulous Moore sculpture, the 2-form sculpture. Perfect positioning. Across to the left-hand side, if you look over the bank of the Thames, you'll see Sion House. Why? This is called Sion Vista. A beautiful house built in 1537, remodelled in the 18th century. That's the home of the Duke of Northumberland. He's lived there for. Him and his descendants have lived there for over 400 years. If it looks familiar to you, you might be a Netflix subscriber. That's where they filmed Bridgerton and many, many films, especially recently. Okay, this is it, folks. We're in Oak Grove now. Rather splendid part of the gardens. This is where we have our major oak collection rooted. We've got about 1,000 oak trees here, about 1,000 English oak trees, and about another 1,000 oak trees from all around the world. So we have Macedonian oak, we have Scandinavian oak, oaks from North America, South America, and North Africa. They all share the same family name, the same genus, which is Quercus, and the English oaks are Quercus aroba. So we're coming up to a junction here. Soon we'll take a left. We'd love to go straight on because that's where Rhododendron Deli is, but it's too narrow for our land train. We get stuck. So I'm going to tell you about this deli. You can visit it from our next stop if you wish. So there's the rhododendrons on the right hand side. There's not a lot of bloom. I think they've been really hit by the heat. There's over 700 rhododendron bushes there. All from the foothills of the Himalayas, brought back in the 1860s. Another tree here. Sad sight. We're going to have to take that down. In the last drought, 2022, we lost 400 trees in the summer. And just after the summer, that's when the damage sets in. So if you have a look down there, there's the Rhododendron Deli. It's a very, very deep valley. And this is a perfect example of what King George III did to the gardens. I said to you earlier that it was very much a flat floodplain used for grazing. Well, he changed all that. He implemented a huge program of planting and building trees, shrubs. He had plant hunters out on Royal Navy ships, bringing exotic plants back from the Commonwealth, exotic trees. But most of all, he made some huge structural changes here. He brought in Capability Brown, the famous landscape designer. He was a gardener, head gardener at Sion House, he got nicked by the royal family. And he gave him the services of 300 soldiers of the Royal Staffordshire Foot Regiment. And armed with picks and shovels, they dug out that great big valley down there. They built this great big bank, this road. They went into the Thames, deepened it and narrowed it, preventing flooding, which still works today. And every dip, every dale, every mound, you see in Kew is man-made. So King George III changed it from a flat flood ground into the undulating landscape we have today. And when the gardens were given over to the British public in the 1840s, the government of the day set up a board of trustees. We still have the same governance now. The board, one of our trustees was Sir David Attenborough, until quite recently. So they brought in a board of trustees, and these guys were all scientists. They were horticulturists, botanists, biologists, and they accelerated the programme of planting trees, conserving trees, collecting trees, analysing trees, shrubs, bushes, making things like medicines. It's real breakthroughs here. And gradually they turned Kew Gardens from a royal pleasure ground into what it is today, one of the foremost scientific institutes in the world. We employ over 600 scientists here at Kew, at our sister site in Wakehurst and our satellite site in Madagascar. We work with 110 countries looking for solutions for problems around food security and water security for mankind. We have over 90% of the world's plant species growing, and we have 2.4 billion seeds in our nuclear bunker seed bank in Sussex. So if there's a catastrophe happens, we can regrow, we can re-sow, and that's what we do here. Okay, after that sermon, we're going to pull up here, and it's stop number 5. So from here, folks, you can go back, walk down a wonderful rhododendron dell, see all the plants down there, see the Japanese Minka house that's there. The main reason for this stop is for the children's garden though. So if there's anybody got children on board under the age of 12, I really recommend a visit to the garden. It really is a great place to go. There's lots of fun stuff to do.
Let's go back over to it.
You can't wait to get in. Also, that's a stop at Brentford Gate. Worth remembering, if you have a car here, you can get the last train and be in your car in a couple of moments, because Very Lane car park is just to the left behind Brentford Gate. Behind each hedgerow is the wonderful children's garden. And also in the children's garden, you can see we have a collection of eucalypt trees. Those beautiful tall trees there. Some of them are shedding their bark at the moment. It's a very normal process. It happens periodically by the trees. They do themselves to rid themselves of pests, parasites, climbing vines and all that. And you might detect a distinct minty smell in the air, and that's because bright sunlight reacts with the leaves of the eucalypts. It's what koala lights them up. And a compound is produced that you can extract eucalyptus oil, which is in fact is decongestion and used for many other things. Makes your hair shampoo smell nice, and your toothpaste taste minty. Okay, we're going to turn left here, and we're going to head down towards the historical part of Kew. This is where it all happened.
Yeah. Do a Photoshop it, isn't it?
Two magnificent trees here. On the right hand side is the biggest tree by volume. It's a hybrid chestnut leaved oak grown from an acorn somebody gave us 200 years ago from the Caucasus, from Iran. And on the other side of the road is one of the old lions I told you about. It's an oriental plane. planted as a sapling in the 1840s. Beautiful tree, it's in great condition. There's Kew Palace. Unfortunately it closes at 4 o'clock today, so you've missed your chance to visit today. But that was built in 1631. Two of our kings and queens lived there with all their families. Brought up and educated there, as was King George III himself. So we're going to pull up here. This is stop number 6.
Wait, can we get free?
That's the entrance is there, but that's actually the back door of the house. The front door faces the Thames because the river was the foremost mode of transport back in the day. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Beautiful building comes the orangery. This is built as an exotic glass house for the royal family. Exotic fruits, lemons, limes, oranges. But unfortunately, it's a bit of a failure. As we take the right-hand turn, if you look up on the front palisade, you'll see the date 1761, built by Sir William Chambers, and above that, a very rare royal coat of arms with an A in it for Augusta. And her physic garden is at the back of that building. If you go around there, there's still a garden there. It's not a physic garden anymore. It's got a lovely garden. And it's got a big storyboard there and a plaque that tells you all about it. Right now, we're heading down the marvellous Great Broad. Look at those garrus. The garrus are the white pinky flowers on the left-hand side. Beautiful perennials. They last for 6 or 7 years. So come on the left-hand side from the trees there is the Princess of Wales Conservatory, and my modern conservatory. It's got 10 different climatic zones, from jungles through to deserts, with the appropriate planting, temperature, humidity. Now, it's a great place to visit. You'll see stuff in there you won't see anywhere else. Named after Augusta, the first Princess of Wales to have a garden here, opened by Diana, the Princess of Wales, in 1987. Okay, we're going to turn right now and head up via the Palm House. There it is, what a wonderful building, built in 1845 by Decimus Burton. He also built the Temple House, and the wonderful gates at Liverpool Gate. And they use shipbuilding techniques to construct it. It does look like the upturned Harbour Ocean down Liner, doesn't it? It's fronted up by this beautiful party area, formal garden. It's changed 3 times a year. This is the summer planting. I've got to say it's come on beautifully in the last couple of weeks. All the dahlias and the colour matching.
Gorgeous.
Really is top stuff by our gardeners. They also built this lake to reflect the image of his beloved Palm House. And it's guarded by the 10 royal beasts. They're Actually, heraldic devices, these statues here. Heraldic devices of the royal family from the Plantagenets onwards.
Yeah.
They line the mall the day Queen Elizabeth II was crowned,
Yeah.
and she gave it to us after her coronation. They've been there since the 1950s.
The Moors look like that.
They do, don't they? They look so nice.
So we'll put it up now to stop number 1. This is where the train terminates. It goes again at 5. So Sheila and I would like to say thank you very much for travelling with us today. We hope you enjoyed it. Hope we give you some ideas of what to do for the rest of your day. Go on to coach 12. 7 rather. The conservatories and the galleries close at 5. So that's up to us. Sheila will ring the bell twice when it's safe to let him out. Thank you very much.